All right, guys, welcome back to part two in this little series of turning this boat trailer into a dump trailer. We made some really good progress, and now I'm going to continue. So, all right, let's get to it. So if you guys are wondering what I'm using for arms, these are recycled arms for Polaris 440 snowmobile. Actually, specifically, it's for two of them. That's why we have red and purple. Times four. A lot of it's going to have to be sanded in order to weld, and I'll repaint a bunch of it, and it's going to get dirty, but at least it's not going to rust. I actually already had some rust coming through that I had to wire brush off, and I can do those later. But yeah, on to the next step. This is the winch I'm going to be using. I took this off of my trailer. The cable snapped, and we have some electrical issues that went bad, so I'm going to have to figure that out. I'm going to take it off of this bracket. We probably don't need this part anymore for left and right, and I'll probably try to get it where it actually goes up when it's on the top side. Yeah, I'll have to figure out a way to mount this to it, and we'll use this. It'll be basically free. Two shots at once. One, unbolting this. Ooh, I can use that as a pattern for the new plate. Now I'll get the holes and I'll get it mounted on there. I'm feeling a little lazy, so I think I'm just going to V-notch these, put them in, and I'll fill that in with the weld. All the pressure on this is going to be at the joint, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm more worried about it getting it square this way. Try to have an idea for that. And you guessed it, times four. So I do want to use this, and I was measuring it over on the tongue of the trailer, and I found, of course, it's naturally too wide. And I thought, I might be able to figure something out around that. But then I came over here, and it's too wide for me to access those bolts too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to cut it down, and then I'm just going to overlap them until it's the size of that, and then I can just run some tacks down it. So I need a bunch of washers, and they didn't quite have the size I need. Perfect. All right, so now these want to get stuck when it comes up to here, and even though I'm going to put some grease on there, I would like that to be a looser fit. So essentially, I'm going to shave this down. I don't think that's the right tool, but with my setup and the tools that I have currently, this is how you get by. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I like how those fit on there now. Much better. I like to have a little bit of play so that way if they do end up rusting, they don't seize up. And I'm gonna fix them together like this. Well, sort of. I'm gonna have this up here, but I put this together so that way I could square them up, and I'll have to fill in the gaps on one of these sides, but that should make them sort of square again. All right, so my other ones turned out a little bit crooked on the side, so I'm going to take and I'm going to redo some in here. I'll make sure it's nice and square for me. I have the tool. I might as well use the tool. I could get by without it, though. Need a little deburring, but that'll do. All right, so now I need to put those in going this way for support, and then I'm gonna add one going across, and that's what's gonna attach the two together. So I gotta get these in. For now, I'm gonna leave them tacked in place. I'm not gonna actually weld them up until I'm comfortable with how this is turning out. I am a little bit worried as I'm welding this up that it's twisting a little bit, but it should be good enough for what I'm doing anyways. So yeah, now I gotta make the piece to go in the middle. All right, so here's what that looks like on the frame. Again, I just have everything tacked so that way I can test it out, make sure I'm comfortable with it, and then I'll go back and I'll put some solid beads around everything. This also saves you from seeing some ugly welds. Out with the old. All right, so I don't know the best way of doing this, but what I'm gonna do is I got this mounted in here and I'm trying to get these parallel as much as possible. So I think this should hold it about where I need it. Let me show you how all this goes together and then I'll show you how it works. Now this bracket's going to hold them all together. All right, so I'm about to give it a little test run and we'll see how this goes. I just am using a piece of rope. I don't have my cable right now. Okay, so that has me a little nervous. That should, ideally, it would be at a better plane. Yeah, I have a feeling there's way too much tension, but I already thought about this and I have an idea. If I put one of these in there, I can then have it, the rope or the cable, come back to here, and that should put the pulling angle, the final pulling angle, down further. So even though it'll start off and it'll get this part up to here, technically the angle will be through here, and that should help pull that more into that crest area. So let me get one of these attached there, and then we'll give it another try. All right, so a couple things dawned on me. One of them is I'm probably going to actually take and put some spacers here to leave room for the cable. There actually is room for the cable, but I'd like to leave a little bit more. We'll see how the one that I'm actually going to use fits in there. But the other thing is some people might have thought that it just had to do with the fact that I welded that on there and that ripped off, but I could tell with the amount of tension and stuff that it wasn't pulling at a good angle. So let's give it a try again. Got this little piece, so I'm going to hook it around there. It goes down and back. And I'm going to have to cut it short there, guys. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you look forward to the next episode where we're going to be doing part 3. And till next time, keep creating.